Thank you for tuning in to tonight's game. Your game is coming up next. But here's some information from the Indiana High School Athletic Association.
6 easy ways to become an MVP. And by MVP, we mean most valuable parent. Like all of us, the parents of high school athletes tend to protect their children from adversity, or they overly involve themselves by advocating for their success. But when they do, they're negating the value of participating in high school sports. Among other lessons, high school sports teach teenagers to take nothing for granted, how to overcome obstacles, and that an extraordinary commitment of time and effort is required in order to reach goals and experience achievement. High school sports also encourage independence and self-sufficiency, attributes that are needed to be successful in life. It's natural for parents to love their children, and it's important to support them in as many ways as possible. With this in mind, here are 6 easy ways that you can be the MVP of your child's high school team. Number 1, attend your children's games as often as possible. Nothing demonstrates interest and involvement more than being there. And be sure to invite Grandma and Grandpa to come along with you. Number 2, cheer for all the kids on the team, not just your own. Here's a test for you. Do you know all of the players on your child's team? Could you say hello to them by their first name? Embracing the entire team is a great way to show that your interest is sincere. Number 3, be a resource for your child's team. Does a teammate need help with transportation? Is the team trying to raise money for new uniforms? Is someone needed to organize a pizza party before the tournament starts? Maybe you can help. Number 4, try not to criticize the coach or the officials in front of your child. Hey, you're human, and there may be times when you need to vent. But be careful when and to whom you do it. Criticizing the coaching staff undermines its credibility and tends to put your child in the middle. And games are seldom won or lost because of an official's call. Remember, coaches and officials are objective. Most parents are not. Empower your child to talk with the coach about concerns. Everybody wants more playing time, and understandably so. But encourage your children to have that conversation with their coaches instead of you doing it for them. Giving teenagers the confidence and conviction to speak up for themselves is one of the greatest benefits of participating in high school sports. Number 6, focus on the life lessons your children are learning, not on win-loss records or how many points they're scoring. According to the NC2A, only about 2% of all high school athletes win a sports scholarship, and the average value of it is less than $11,000. But every child will benefit from the lessons they've learned as a result of participating in high school sports for the rest of their lives. It's difficult being the parent of a high school athlete. There's far more emotion and social pressure involved than is ideal. But if you follow these 6 pointers, not only will your children love and respect you, but so will their teammates and coaches. And you might even be named MVP. Thank you for your support of high school athletics in Indiana. Stay tuned now. The Indiana SRN game is next. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
And a pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of high school volleyball here on Indiana SRN. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers. So pleased you've chosen to spend part of your Thursday with us as the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves, 8-9 on the season, set to take on the 11-4 Brebeuf Chatard Trojans. Hi again, everybody. That's the coach. I'm Jimmy Cook. And like I said, this is a very exciting Circle City Conference matchup that has many implications on the line for where the standings will shake up. Brebeuf, a tough loss last night against Roncalli that puts them in a situation where they don't control their own destiny as much anymore. Roncalli has the upper hand on them. The good news is for them, though, Coach, is that they defeated Heritage Christian already. Roncalli still has to play them, so they have that in terms of matchups. Roncalli still has head-to-head, though. And then tonight for Brebeuf Chatard, it's lose, and you're pretty much out of the running for the conference title.
You're playing for maybe third.
Yeah.
But if you're Chatard, it's senior night. You protect the home court. For Brebeuf, they have been on the road a lot. They can't wait to get back home to play their invitational and then playing Cathedral later on next week, a game that we will have on the broadcast. But, yeah, you look at the standings. Roncalli's 3-0. Brebeuf's 3-1. Heritage Christian 2-1. They played Decatur Central tonight. Doesn't affect the standings, but that winning streak can continue for Heritage Christian. Chatard 1-1. They are very inconsistent, just like their record. Coach told me today, sometimes we play really, really well. Just depends on what team shows up. They're hoping a good team shows up tonight. Senior night, I think these kids will play real well for mom and dad. Covenant Christian 0-2, really struggling at late. Now have some injuries. They play tonight against Danville, the Warrior night. Kind of neat. We can talk a little bit about that as this night goes on. And then Guerin Catholic, who's a really outstanding ball club, Jimmy. If they played anywhere else in any other conference, would probably be in the top 3 or 4 echelon. But they're like with Brebeuf and these teams, it's tough to win in this conference.
It's a must-win for both these teams this evening as Brebeuf takes on Brebeuf Chatard here at Brebeuf Chatard High School. As Coach mentioned, it is senior night here on the campus of Brebeuf Chatard High School, so they'll be going through their festivities here momentarily. We are going to step out as well. When we come back, we will have our full pregame show in this Circle City Conference tilt between the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves and the Brebeuf Chatard Trojans on Indiana SRN.
If it feels like it's been a while since we started our journey together through God's great story, you're right. In fact, on our first day of A Mighty Source, it was only 41 degrees outside here in Murfreesboro, and some of us were still returning Christmas gifts at Dillard's. It's also been a while since we last left off in the story, and while that gap in time might feel long to us, it's nothing compared to the weight the ancient Israelites had to endure. You see, after years and years of God speaking to the Israelites all the time, God pretty much went silent for 400 years. And a lot happened to the Israelites during that time. After years of being scattered around different countries, most of them had returned home. There was just one problem. The Israelites didn't control Israel. Rome did. Yep, that Rome. The one run by a bunch of guys with George Clooney haircuts. The Caesars. As you can imagine, the Israelites didn't really dig that somebody else was in charge of their country. And from time to time, they even clashed with the Roman government. Thankfully, the Israelites hadn't forgotten their history. A history of God rescuing them over and over again. We here at World Outreach Church have looked at those stories over the past 6 months. It's all those stories, from the beginning of the earth to the books of poetry through the 400 years of silence, that make up what we now call the Old Testament. The next major part of the story, called the New Testament, begins with God breaking his silence in a big, big way. In fact, the story takes a turn so dramatic and powerful that almost every person on the face of the planet uses this point to divide human history. And this turning point isn't an event, it's a person. And you probably know who it is. His name is Jesus. We'll be looking a lot at the life of Jesus in the next few weeks, but suffice to say, when this guy came on the scene, it was a whole new ballgame, a new way of life, and a new way for people to connect with God. Jesus made a way for people to live the lives that God had originally intended them to live, and for God's people to be a blessing to the entire world. By doing all this, Jesus was fulfilling the promises and the prophecies found in the Old Testament. Knowing where Jesus fits into this great history adds so much meaning to the things he did and said. Skipping to the Jesus part is kind of like when you turn on the TV on a Saturday afternoon and there's one of your favorite movies on, but it's already an hour and a half into the movie. Sometimes you just don't even want to watch. Your favorite part of the story might be the ending, but it doesn't mean half as much if you weren't able to see the beginning. That's the New Testament. 27 individual books. 4 of them are directly about the life of Jesus. Another book is about how Jesus' followers started the early church, and the rest of the books are essentially letters written by a few different guys to these early churches, encouraging them and reminding them the truth of who Jesus was and what it meant for them. But in all 27 of these books, it's like the authors make the assumption that the readers aren't just turning on the TV in the middle of the movie. These authors, and Jesus himself, quote the Old Testament hundreds of times and assume that the readers know all about the history, poetry, and prophecy of the Old Testament. And in a few spots that feel like they're a scene out of a time travel movie, people we've seen in the Old Testament actually show up in the New Testament. But more on that later. So, we here at World Outreach Church and the ancient Israelites have finally made it to the New Testament. Something amazing is about to happen. Fun fact. Did you know that an estimated 16,000 books have been written about former President Abraham Lincoln? 16,000! About one guy! How could so many books be written about a guy who only lived to be 56? Well, one easy answer is that he was an amazing guy and that he did some amazing things, especially during his time as president. But still, enough to fill 16,000 books? Well, here's a thought. Maybe it's not just because of the number of things Lincoln did, but the number of perspectives that people have on him. A perspective about his early life, his decision-making process, or about how he might have even hunted vampires. Not so sure about that last part. Even the people who lived and worked with Lincoln provide different perspectives about who he was. Just like each of our friends and family would provide just a little different perspective about each of us. Well, it's no different with the person we're going to spend the next few weeks talking about, Jesus. You think 16,000 books about Lincoln is impressive? There's hundreds of thousands of books that have been written about Jesus. Far too many to count. And that for a guy who only lived on Earth for 33 years. Today, we're going to talk about 4 of these books. These 4 books are pretty special because they can be found right in the Bible. They were written right after the time that Jesus lived, and some of them written by people who knew Jesus personally. These 4 books are often referred to as the Gospels, which means good news. Each book gives us a unique perspective on who Jesus was and all that he did. Each author saw the life of Jesus slightly differently, and each author was actually writing their account of Jesus' life for a different audience. Now, while there's some difference of opinion about exactly who each author was, here's the most widely held beliefs. First, there's the book of Matthew, believed to be written by one of Jesus' disciples, who was a tax collector. Now, I'm not sure how you feel about the IRS, but I'm guessing tax collectors don't rank high on your list of favorite people in the world. But that's nothing compared to the way folks felt about tax collectors like Matthew. A big part of this was that tax collectors back then did more than just collect what was owed. They often cheated people out of their money. So, Matthew wasn't very well liked, but that didn't stop Jesus from inviting Matthew into his inner circle of followers and showing him unconditional love and a new way of life. Then there's the book of Mark, written by a friend of one of Jesus' first followers. An interesting note about the book of Mark is that the author was most likely writing to a predominantly non-Jewish audience. The perspective he gives is an action-packed account of the many miracles and healings Jesus performed. Next up, the book of Luke. According to Christian tradition, Luke was probably the kind of guy every Jewish mom wanted her daughter to end up with. He was a doctor and probably well respected in the community. Now, we don't know if it's because he was an educated guy or not, but Luke's book reads a little bit more like a historical account of the story of Jesus. And finally, there's the book of John. Now, we all know you're not supposed to play favorites in life, and it's pretty hard to imagine that Jesus had favorites amongst the disciples. But it does seem that if Jesus had a best friend, it was John, the author of this gospel. What seems central to John's perspective is that Jesus was more than just a man, a great teacher, or prophet. Maybe more than any of the other gospel writers, John emphasizes that Jesus was, in fact, God in human form living on earth. John closes his book by saying that what he's written is only a sliver of all that Jesus said and did. In fact, he says that if every amazing event in Jesus' life were to be written about, all of the books in the entire world wouldn't be enough to contain it. No offense to Abraham Lincoln, but I'm glad it's Jesus we'll be talking about the next few weeks. How about you? Pretty safe to say that nobody in human history is more widely known and talked about than Jesus Christ. Some of us here at World Outreach Church grew up in homes where Jesus was talked about all the time. We've heard about all the amazing things Jesus has done since we were in diapers. Others of us are still new to the whole church thing and haven't heard as much about Jesus. We might have a vague idea about who he is, but we don't know a ton about him yet. One thing that's interesting is that almost every one of us knows about at least two parts of Jesus' life, his birth and his death. Why are these two events talked about more than the others? Well, it might be because it's two of the main events we celebrate in everyone's life. I mean, we have funerals when people die, and every year our friends and family celebrate the day we were born, even on years we don't want them to, like those of you who turned 40 this year. But maybe it's bigger than that. Maybe it's because the events surrounding Jesus' birth and death were so extraordinary that there's really no other way to describe them than miraculous. Like how his life started. The Bible tells us that Jesus' mom was a virgin when she became pregnant. Now, without getting into details that are better suited for high school health ed class, it's obvious that something was different about Jesus. Then, throughout his life, which we'll talk about in detail later, Jesus performed miracle after miracle and loved and took care of people in an amazing way. In fact, the Bible tells us that he lived his life perfectly, that he was actually without sin. His life was so extraordinary that thousands of Israelites wondered if Jesus was the long-awaited Savior or Messiah that God had promised to come and free them. The Israelites expected that God would send a military leader that would overthrow the Roman government and take over as their king. But then, something pretty shocking happened. After 3 years of miracles and teaching, Jesus was arrested by a group of Jewish religious leaders and handed over to the Roman government to be killed. And that's exactly what happened. Jesus was hung on a cross between two thieves, where he died. But this is where things get even more extraordinary, because the Bible and many, many historical accounts tell us that Jesus didn't stay dead. That's right. Unlike every other person who had ever died, Jesus rose from the dead. Permanently. He appeared to hundreds of people and made it clear that he was, in fact, the Messiah. Just not the kind they'd imagined he'd be. Jesus told his followers that God was freeing the Israelites, not from the Romans, but from themselves, from their sin. Jesus' miraculous life, death, and resurrection had made a new way of life possible, not only for the Jews, but for every person on earth. Once Jesus' disciples understood this, so many other things started to become clear, like the promise God had made to use Israel to bless the entire world, all of the ways God had protected Israel over the years, all of the promises and prophecies God had given, assuring the Israelites that He'd always make a way for them to return to a perfect relationship with Him. This was all coming true through Jesus. Oh, I don't know about you, but taking a look at how Jesus' life began and ended and began again, it's like we've got a new lens to see the story and a new lens to see our own lives. Because Jesus was very clear that the power of what He did in His life, death, and resurrection could change not only the Israelites' lives, but the lives of every single person.
And a pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to the campus of Brebeuf Chatard High School for high school volleyball on Indiana SRN. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers as the Circle City Conference tilt just about 15 minutes from getting underway as the Brebeuf Chatard Trojans host the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves. Hi again, everybody. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers. Coach, this is another matchup, as it's been the story of the last 5 or 6 Circle City Conference games, where the winner of this game is going to be in a situation where the conference title is still at play, and the loser is all but likely playing for third place.
Yeah, you played all year long, and you play in this conference, and we talk about this off the air all the time, and Riley kids about it, but this is one of the best conferences in volleyball in the state of Indiana, bar none. And so every night you have to gear up for an opponent, and if you're not ready for them, they're going to bury you, and they don't really care about that at all. They want to win a conference, and the cool thing with all 6 schools, eventually this will be leveled off. I think right now there's some dominant teams in this conference, but you look at the youth of Covenant Christian and the youth of Guerin, watch out in a couple years. Those guys are going to be able to compete as well, and it will take some time, but it's kind of fun just to be in a facility like Chatard or Brebeuf. The other night we were at Roncalli. When you walk in the door, they know you're going to do volleyball on TV, and they're excited about it, and these kids are ready to play. Coach told me today at Brebeuf they had an hour-long practice yesterday, and all they did was rest. They didn't do anything else. They just relaxed a little bit, took reflect time, watched a little bit of the video, and then they went out and practiced. And that's what you need to do. You got to forget about the losses and come back and come strong, because this Chatard team is very, very good. Don't let their record at 1-1 in the conference surprise you. They're better than that, I think, on paper, and they're a lot better than that than they have shown all year long.
Let's start first with Brebeuf Chatard. When you look at them on paper, they are by far the oldest team in terms of upperclassmen-led rosters in the conference, and probably the oldest team that Brebeuf has played to this point in time. The 11-4 record shows that mark for the Trojans, but obviously the struggles in the conference side of things. For Chatard, how did they make a stand on senior night and mirror what the JV team was already able to do?
The JV team took advantage of it very quickly, and I think that's what these seniors, with 9 seniors, so you're expecting them to come out and with their experience to put them over the top. They don't want to embarrass grandma and grandpa or mom and dad, so they're going to play their strength. The crazy thing is they're done. After tonight, they have no more home games at all. So they finished their season with 6 away games. Jimmy, that's really tough to do. And now
Tough
being
ask.
at 8 and 9, 6 more away games, plus the city tournament. They have the city tournament draw Sunday, which we can talk a little bit about that coming up because Indiana SRN is going to do kind of special thing on Sunday, so you got to tune in for that. But the city tournament is very important. That's, I guess, if you're the Heather Lyon, you might want to star that. Okay, we want to win this one. We want to finish out, but let's see how well we can do and compete in the city tournament so that can carry on to the sectional. Crazy thing is, you know who's in their sectional? Brebeuf, Ritter, Addicts. So It doesn't get any easier for them.
On the Brebeuf side of things, you talked about that they can't let that loss get in their head. They can't let it be on their mindset. But you look at their start against Roncalli earlier in the week on Tuesday night, it was a different mentality in the second set of that game than it was in the first. They came out flat. They came out falling 2-0. They leave and have a little meeting, and they come back in. They're able to force that to a Game 4. Ultimately, Roncalli just a tad too much, but it's still a loss. It's still a Circle City Conference loss. How do they get that out of their head, not have the same mistakes creep on early in this one, another road contest in the Circle City Conference, and come out on top?
Yeah, good points. One of the things Coach said was, you look at Game 1, they were supposed to be there at 4 o'clock. They get on the bus at Brebeuf at 3:15 or so. They are on the wrong bus that they didn't know because they asked the bus driver, "Are you our bus driver?" "Yep, let's go." They're heading to Heritage Christian. Realizing that they're on the wrong bus, they tell the bus driver, "Hey, you're supposed to take us to Roncalli." So now you're on the bus not an hour, you're on the bus an hour and a half on 465. You and I have been on 465. That's not fun. You get 15 minutes to warm up, and now you have to play a game on a team that's ranked in the state of Indiana in 4A. And you flat out blew it. Game 2, you come back, and, boy, you had great game in Game 2. Game 3, and I think you really gave away that game. Game 3, you played pretty well. Game 4, I thought one more point would have turned that into a different ball game. So now they have to forget all about that and just restart. Fortunately, today they got here at 4:15. The game started at 5 o'clock. Yes, they had a little bit of delay because of senior night, but it's no 90-minute delay.
Right.
And now they're ready to play. Coach says you'll be surprised. They changed a little bit. They're going to rotate a little bit, so you're going to see a little bit more movement on Brebeuf than what you did on Tuesday night.
The good news is for Brebeuf, should they need to have another meeting, we joke about it all the time with these schools of Roncalli, Brebeuf Chatard, Cecina, Cardinal Ritter, to name a few. They have the exact same layout as they were all built by the same architecture company and architecture conglomerate. So the fact they all look the same, should Brebeuf need to have another meeting, they can go out the same way they went at Roncalli, right out to the main lobby, go downstairs to the cafeteria and have a talking should it need to go to that point. I don't think they're going to need that necessarily tonight. I feel like there's going to be a more refreshed look, like you said. They've reviewed the tape. They've had some good practices this week. They're ready to move on and welcome this Chatard team.
I'm going to throw a little pun for a little plug for us. One of the things that Coach said was it really was kind of fun to listen how we called the game so they can watch what we've called and what they played. And it makes it a little bit easier for her to coach to point out because now all of a sudden we're pointing out some mistakes. Right. It's just not her pointing those things. And she says the fan base at Brebeuf loves what we're doing with their volleyball program. And she's ecstatic about us being here tonight. And I think we're going to see her a couple of times. I know we got the Cathedral game coming up. There won't be a seat for that game.
Nope.
So a lot of fun. It's just a blast for us to be part of that.
And we're very excited to bring you this coverage. It's not only an excitement for a Circle City Conference broadcast, but anytime for the student athletes out there to get them some exposure across the state and also across the world as this is broadcasted on the IndianaSRN.org website. We're going to step out for the first time on our pregame show. When we come back, we'll dive a little bit deeper inside this matchup between Brebeuf and Chatard. We'll take a deeper look at the Circle City Conference standings. Coach will have some stats for you. And then a little later, his keys to the game. All that and much more upcoming after this. You're watching high school volleyball on Indiana SRN. Hi again, everybody. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach, Keith Myers. Welcome back to the campus of Brebeuf Chatard High School. As we roll through our pregame show, and we will remind you that we are here stage side at Brebeuf Chatard High School, so it's really only a threat and warm-ups, as you won't see us after the pregame portion, but you might have to be dodging a volleyball here too, which that's fine. Coach, you've been around the game, I've been around the game. We got enough reflexes between us. More worried about the camera than anything. But
well,
hey,
we're going to put Raleigh in the between us. He'll take the hit.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Let's
that's why he's here.
Let's look at the team comparison tonight on both Chatard and Brebeuf. On kills, Chatard has 450 on the night. Brebeuf 425. Blocks, Chatard has 60. Brebeuf has 25. Assists, 65 for Chatard, 75 for Brebeuf. Digs, 750 for Chatard, 275 for Brebeuf, which tells you they run a different offense. And total aces on the night, Brebeuf 325, Chatard 325. So it's going to be a serving game. If you look at this record-wise and strength of schedule, Chatard has the strength of schedule. They are 4-3 against common opponents. Brebeuf is 5-1. That loss to Roncalli did that for you. But here's the tale of the tape. Brebeuf is 7th in 3A. Chatard 23rd in 3A. So pretty good matchup, good rivalry. I love this conference. Every game is a rival game, but going to be a lot of fun. Next time that these teams play, Chatard will play Ritter on September 23rd, and then at Heritage Christian, we will have that broadcast for you right here on webcast. And for Brebeuf, they have their invitational this weekend, so should be a lot of fun, a lot of volleyball going on.
We mentioned from the perspective of the conference as a whole already, now taking a little bit deeper look between what's happening on the floor tonight. Coach, when you look at both Brebeuf and Chatard, where do you see those similar styles of play that you mentioned in our stats portion of the pregame coming into play on the court itself?
Net play. You'll see a lot more different net play. The key guy tonight would be the lead official up on top of the ladder. Is he going to call the net violations? Is he going to call the carries? The other night, there were some carries that we saw that they didn't call. The consistency of the net will be very key. And I also think how the liberos will play tonight. Chatard sometimes don't play with a libero. They just play straight 6 for Brebeuf. I thought their libero was very key last week against Roncalli, but Roncalli's was just maybe a step better. So that could be the key. But watch the net play. Going to be a lot of fun. Ben will have some great shots for us tonight at the net, and you're going to see a lot of net play. And Brebeuf, because they changed their style a little bit, Jimmy, they're going to move a little bit differently than they would, so the rotation will be a little bit different. So you're going to hear some different names tonight, I think.
For the Braves, when things really started going, and I mean really started taking off for them in games 3 and games 4 rather, the momentum shift started with senior Davia Poitras. She really was active in front of the net. You talked about her making plays, stepping up in ways that maybe she hadn't been and the rest of the team hadn't been the first 2 games, but was really the opening spark plug for the Braves. It led to Maddie Siegel getting a little bit more fresh, the sophomore on the outside. How critical is it to get that type of play from Poitras and then the rest of the girls to follow immediately out of the gate?
You saw my notes, didn't you? I talked to Coach about that, and she goes, it was very interesting because I asked, in the hallway, what was the take there? And she goes, years ago they would yell on screen. This year we looked at each other and how to be positive. And the senior stepped in and says, it's going to start with me. I kind of like that. When a senior says, hey, let's play through me, and she did that. She brought Maddie back into the game. Maddie played terrific game 4, and I still think it was 1 or 2 points. We may still be playing 37-35 because game 2 went that way because of the strength of those 2 players. And it's a team effort, though. One of the things the coach said to me, too, is we lost together as a team, we win together as a team. No one pointed their fingers. Everybody went to work yesterday knowing that they needed to improve because losing will build success. And I love that philosophy. I taught that philosophy for years when I coached. You can't learn anything from winning because all of a sudden you get spoiled. And then when you do lose, you blame somebody. So building success, and that's what she's doing. Both of these schools this whole entire conference is built on building young ladies and young men to be better people. And that's what our athletics is all about. I love the philosophy of the Indiana High School Athletic Association because it's an extension to the classroom. You got to love it.
Brebeuf's going to need a similar mindset tonight as they play a senior-led Circle City Conference opponent, this time in a similar venue as they were at the Woodshed on Tuesday night. They can't afford to get out to a slow start, otherwise they'll be in the same spot they were on Tuesday. We're going to step out one more time. When we come back, we'll take a look at Coach's keys to the game, preview a little bit more before they bring out lineups and the national anthem as well as the prayer here at Brebeuf Chatard High School. We'll have more for you after this on Indiana SRN.
How does a good man become even better? By working out? Or by working his way up the corporate ladder? By changing his diet? Or by changing his style? By traveling the world? Or by staying perfectly still? For 300 years, we've helped good men become the best versions of themselves through a dedicated fraternity and by taking an oath to live a life of integrity, service, and brotherly love. Men who are as committed to each other and their families as they are to our noble cause. In the end, we don't just make men better, we make them Masons. Not just a man, a Mason.
Welcome back to Brebeuf Chatard High School. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers just a few minutes before starting lineups and the rest of the opening ceremonies for this Circle City Conference tilt. While we have a second, let's dive into some of Coach's keys to the game. Coach.
If you're Chatard, your senior leadership, so you're going to depend on that. So you're going to want to win. It'll be the last time you wear this uniform as a senior on this home court for your whole entire career. So you want to go out as a victor. You also want to start fast, and you got to play the net, and you got to play aggressive. If you're Brebeuf, let's see how well they bounce back. How do you bounce back after game one? Game one is crucial. If you bounce back and win that, now you're back in the comfort zone of knowing what you do. I think also with the new rotation, let's see how fast they will communicate, because I think that's the key for both of these teams, communications tonight. If whoever communicates best will win this game.
For the overall conference structure, who do you think I know I asked you this on Tuesday, but this is a pertinent question now as it was then. Who needs this one more? Brebeuf, who is still, in a way, can control their own destiny, but have to rely on a loss from Roncalli. Chatard, they lose, they're in third place.
Yeah, I think Brebeuf wants to make some noise. If you're Chatard, if you win this one, you're right back in there. Now you're 2-1 in the conference with 2 games to play. And now if you're Brebeuf, you're 3-2, and your season's over with the conference. So then you need some help. So I think this, for the crucial point, Brebeuf needs this game more than Chatard, than Brebeuf. We're
going to step out one final time. When we come back, we will have the first service and the action live from Brebeuf Chatard High School between Brebeuf and Brebeuf Chatard on Indiana SRN.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
It was a challenge that was given by my father. He wanted me to give back much more than I had been. Then I realized that when he said more, he wanted me to see how I could give more. And it wasn't just in money, but in time and in services. And that's how the Morales Group was created.
I started off at Morales Group as an intern. I interned for 3 years before going on full-time staff here. What I love most about Morales Group is that big family aspect. I come from a big family in Mexico, and since the company is continuously growing, I feel like there's always a new member of the family that I get to know.
We're willing to give. We're willing to serve others, and we're not expecting something in return.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
Welcome back to Chatard High School. Keith Myers, Jimmy Cook. Let's run down the conference standings for you, Jimmy, one more time. Roncalli 3-0 is leading the conference. Brebeuf 3-1. Heritage Christian 2-1. Chatard 1-1. Covenant Christian 0-2. And Guerin Catholic 0-5. And, you know, you look at this conference, and it was developed a few years ago. And the cool thing is whoever wins this conference also gets points for their team, because they have overall champions for every single sport. So every win is very important. Every loss is very important. So this matchup should be very, very interesting tonight.
When we look at all the teams we've seen in the Circle City Conference at this point in time, we talked about after our first broadcast with Heritage Christian and Guerin Catholic that Heritage was the team to beat. Now that you've at least got a sample size from Brebeuf and Roncalli, do you think that sentiment's still true?
I think Heritage, the championship could be Heritage if they play well and they hold serve at home court advantage. That could be very interesting. But I tell you what, I'm very impressed with the top three teams in the conference. And, you know, the young kids, Covenant Christian and Guerin Catholic, they will make some noise in this conference as well. And the senior-laden team of Chatard will make some noise as well. It's just a lot of fun to do this every single night to do ball game.
From the perspective of the Chatard side of things, we talked about how this is a must-win ball game for them. If you are on the Brebeuf side of things, it's also a must-win, but it's a different kind of scenario for you, knowing that you still have a little bit of wiggle room depending on how Roncalli's schedule takes out.
Man, yeah, but, you know, Roncalli, the way they played Tuesday night, don't take anything away from them. They played very, very well, and they are a team that will be reckoned with in 4A. This conference has a 4A team in it, a couple of 3A teams, two 2A schools, top and bottom. They get each other ready for the next level of play, and that's what you want, and it should be a lot of fun.
We've talked about it time and time again, how important it is to get that early experience in conference play, especially to set you up for the postseason. We're going to step out one more time. We'll have first service after this on Indiana SRN.
I think the best thing that our ministry offers is that when the women come in and they are pregnant and they've reached our scan dates, which are 6 weeks, 4 days to 14 weeks, we're able to image them with ultrasound.
Seeing the image on the screen and hearing a heartbeat clarifies that it is truly life and not just a clump of cells.
You know, you can see babies sucking their thumbs. You can see them running their hands over their heads.
It shows them what God is doing on the inside that they don't feel or don't even think is real, but they see a real image of a real baby on the screen.
It just breaks my heart when a woman, no matter what her circumstances are, that she decides to end that intrauterine pregnancy, that she decides that she's better to go on her own without that baby.
Welcome back to Bishop Chatard High School. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach, Keith Myers. We're just seconds away from first service between the Bishop Chatard Trojans and the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves. Let's take a look first at the starting lineup for the Braves of Brebeuf.
There they see right there, the libero is in the highlight, number 7. You know, Maddie Siegel is probably the key here, but number 15, the senior we talked about, she could make some noise here. She could be the crucial piece of this wheel.
Yeah, she was the spark plug in that third game for them against Roncalli, and you expect that to be momentum that starts right off the bat as we take a look now at the Bishop Chatard starting rotation.
You know, you look at the top and bottom, I think Sarah Meek is the girl you're going to look at. Look at the libero, number 3. She will be the key tonight as well. She has to put every single ball in play. Could be very interesting.
Yeah, we look at the overall structure. Anna Wench, the senior, you mentioned the libero, player to watch out for on the Chatard side of things. This is a talented group, very senior-driven and upperclassmen-driven. Just one sophomore on the roster sheet, one underclassman being that sophomore in Carly DeCastro. Big game for both of these teams as the Braves will have service. First will be Abby Richmond, the 5'6" senior, and we're underway as that's an ace to begin the matchup for the Braves.
We also need to talk about the new coach for Chatard, Heather Lyon. This is her first year here. They had a new coach last year who did not come back. So a whole new philosophy for Chatard with the new coach.
Abby Richmond's serve goes to the back line. It is returned by the Trojans. A counterattack by the Braves now. One more to get it over. It'll be Wench. She bumps it over across, and Richmond receives. Action in front of the net. That spike is down. That one by Greer Frazier, the junior. And it's 2-0 Braves early.
As you know, they didn't go with Maddie Siegel that time. They went the opposite side that they did the other night.
Interesting to see Frazier involved early. His action in front of the net there. That time, Cindy Robinson, the freshman, who's been on our radar every now and again throughout this volleyball season, making an impact there early. 3-0 Brebeuf.
5'8" freshman played very well at the net there.
Richmond overhand serve. That one takes a bad carom. And a long return shot that time by Megan Coors. Makes it 4-0 Braves.
Well, the start is exactly what you wanted if you're Brebeuf. You're up 4-0.
Yeah, identical almost to the start that they received against the Rebels. They were on the wrong end of that 4-0 start against Roncalli on Tuesday night. Now it's 5-0 as Robinson once again play in front of the net.
You can see the rotation earlier. Everything's rotation counterclockwise tonight. Very good rotation.
Action in front of the net. It might be a violation on the Trojans. Indeed it is. Be 6-0 all Braves and no timeouts yet. Looks like that the coaches for the Trojans might have signaled for one, but they do indeed. Not a very aggressive timeout signal, but hey, they get it nonetheless. We'll stay here as it's 6-0 Braves early. Well, Coach, we talked about a potential start for the Braves trying to get out to a hot start off the bat, and they've done exactly that. A similar sequence that they felt the wrong end of at Roncalli. They're given a taste of that early jump here in game one.
Yeah, and that's what you wanted. You want to make sure that you jump off quick, 6-0. You know, you talked about now what do you do if you're Chatard? If you're coach, all you have to do is say one thing: heart. Where's your heart? Let's get it done. Hey, Indiana SRN has other coverage for you tonight at 7:30. Decatur Central takes on Heritage Christian. That's on our sister station on radio only, Indiana SRN, Decatur Central and Heritage Christian. We may be able to go by there and see that game in the conclusion of that one.
Richmond overhand service. Here comes a counterattack by the Trojans. That one's in the net. 7-0 Braves. All Brebeuf here early on. Couldn't have asked for a better start if you're a faithful of Brebeuf. That one goes to the back line. Attack is in. Finally, the drought ends for the Trojans on that soft touch shot from Sorensen.
That was like, I hope this gets there, and it did. It landed right there on the line. Good call.
Now we'll have service for the first time for the Trojans. It'll be Ellen Keefe. 5'5" junior measures. Received on the midline. And a nice play at the front of the net by Ruby Countryman, the 5'11" senior.
Countryman, nice job. Middle hitter. No effort there, was there? I mean, that was right there. Yep. She knew exactly what to do with that ball.
Like an alley-oop. Overhand service by Keefe. It rode the line. Siegel thought that it was going to be out. She wisely let it go, but it curved in on the last mark and bounced in for the Trojans. 7-3. 3 straight points for Bishop Chatard.
The window's open here at Chatard, that's why.
Frazier overhand service. Make that Sorensen overhand service, rather. And that's another point for Chatard.
How about this rally?
Answering back with 4 straight of their own.
Got to love that timeout.
As we mentioned, Ellen Keefe continues her service. That one received by Richmond. Play in front of the net. Cross-body shot. Trojans will look to get it over. That's blocked in front of the net. One more hit to get it across, and that one took a block from the teeth of the Trojans. Might be a net violation. There's been a whistle, and it is a net violation on Chatard, so that'll end the rally there and make it 8-4 Brebeuf.
Boy, they call that net violation on number 21, Sarah Meek.
Second one of the match so far against Bishop Chatard. Bella Schumacher, the 5'8 junior, has the second round of service by the Braves. That one goes over in one bump on the return. Now the counterattack by the Braves. That one's down.
Nice
Shot
hit
for Delaney Seaman.
Where our cameraman is, the official is taking a little bit of that space, but there is great play right there where Brebeuf is playing.
Overhand service from Schumacher. Spike is blocked. It ricochets, and the Braves left to counter. That shot is down again by Seaman. Delaney with 2 great points for Brebeuf. They're in the driver's seat still, 10-4.
This is the battle of hitting the zone. I think they're going to go right to number 14 on this hit.
Great precision so far on the offensive attacks. Coach right on the money there. Counter by Coors. Now they'll go to Seaman again. Richmond sets up Siegel. Rally continues. And go outside.
Oh, nice play.
Seaman's there. They'll set her up one more time. That spike is dug in by Sorensen. Soft touch shot. Siegel's there. They'll go back to Siegel for the spike. Blocked once. Solid rally. And that point's going to be won by the Trojans. Just a tad late on that play. On the back line was Schumacher.
Boy, I tell you what, though, the rotation, Jimmy, again, they're getting to every single spot. Much better movement tonight than they did on Tuesday night.
So Isabella DeCastro, the 5'7 senior, will have the service for Chatard. That one's a let serve over the net. They'll go once again to Seaman. Counterattack. That shot's in the net. It was kept alive, though, just barely. That might have been 4. They let it go. Action in front of the net, and that one's not going to curtail over. Braves get the point.
Yeah, I think we got the 4 hits, but that's sometimes you don't know how to, that's kind of tough. I have a hard time. I got to take off my shoe to get to 4.
Service for Sophie Weber. So a doctor in the house. That one's in the net.
Thank you.
A point for Bishop Chatard.
Riley mentioned in my ear, you need to take off your shoe. Leave it on though, Coach. 11-6 if you just joined us. Brebeuf is in the lead.
Service for Sydney Sorensen, or for Anna Wench, rather, the libero. She receives that counterattack shot. It's over the net, then blocked. Here come the Trojans. That spike. Brebeuf to Siegel.
Oh.
Good read that time by DeCastro. Cross shot. Diving for the dig that time was Schumacher. Keeps it alive. Siegel spike blocked. Trojans will counter. Wench. That might be long. It's just in. Curtailed in with some backspin, and it's 11-7. Bishop Chatard within 4.
Bishop Chatard has done a nice job falling as far behind as they did. Coming back up did a nice job playing evenly right now.
They've responded very well since that 7-0 start. Service by Anna Wench. Siegel blocked, but it ricocheted. Might have one more hit to get it over. They will indeed. Richmond. Now go Siegel again. That one blocked. A spike of their own. And what a play. That spike by Olivia Countryman.
The elbow of 19, Meeks, did very, very well for Bishop Chatard.
And that shot ricocheted off of the front line of one of Bishop Chatard, the head of one of the Bishop Chatard players. That service, though, by Wench over the mark. It'll be 12-8 for Buffalo. Breathe for a second. They were leading 7-0. They've been outscored 8-5 since then. Here in game 1 of this best of 5 set. A critical juncture in the Circle City Conference race. The Braves 3-1 after that loss to Roncalli. They're not controlling their own destiny anymore as that service is into the net. For the Rebels, they do control their own destiny, waiting for a matchup against Heritage Christian that will be all but decide the conference depending on the way things go. And for Bishop Chatard, 1-1 right now. They can't afford another loss if they're hoping to take home the title. Service by the Trojans. Siegel's spike is blocked. That's not an easy move to do. Credit the frontline play of Bishop Chatard.
Boy, I tell you what, that ball was on fire. Stayed right there, stayed solid. Nice job, nice play.
12-10. Kaminsky's service received on the back line of the Braves. Cross body shot that time by Poitras. And that one was almost thrown by Pemberton. 12-10.
May not be called.
Actually, excuse me, they'll say that was out.
Yeah.
So it'll be 13-10, advantage Braves, and now Maddie Siegel will have her service. That's into the net. Second serve by the Braves.
You know, that's a tough place to serve all the way. You know, the doors are right there. So when that door opens up, you see the glare.
Yep.
That's a tough place to serve. Love these old gyms, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Though I would point out with those gyms that it's the same location as it was on Tuesday night at Roncalli. But
exactly right.
but still, I get the point as that return shot is into the net by Poitras.
How about this? Chatard was down 7-0, Jimmy. 1 point away from tying this thing.
Outscoring the Braves 12-6 on this current run is the service by the 5'7" senior, Sydney Sorensen. That one is clean over the net. Richmond one bump. Nice soft adjustment shot. A good play that time by Naya Gaddis. The 5'8" freshman. It's 14-12 Braves.
Nice little spin on that ball.
She'll now have the service. Play in front of the net. That spike is in. Rode the far left line, right in front of the Braves bench. Down at 1 point, 7-0. They're 1 point away from tying this up. Erica Pemberton will have the service. Soft touch shot. Richmond's there to read it. That spike is blocked and down for the Braves as it ricocheted out on the attempted block by Bishop Chatard.
Robinson did a nice job of changing direction there with the ball. Slam it right in the hands. Crucial point right here, Jimmy.
Trying to get some separation of the Braves. Richmond service, she airmailed it. Be 15-14. So a chance to tie this up. On the service, it'll be Ellen Keefe, the 5'5" junior. Richmond, a bump. They'll set up a spike, blocked. Good quick reflexes, though. Siegel's going to have one bump to get it over. She does. Tough play. Spike opportunity for Coors, and that one is down.
Ball was touched. Yeah, if you didn't touch that ball would go out, but Rivero touched the ball going out. So now it's tied 15-15. Now it's the race to 10.
They've outscored the Braves 15-8 down this stretch after trailing 7-0. Braves trying to counter that soft shot in front of the net. Card will go with a loft shot. Seaman. That shot's deflected down for Bishop Chatard. 16-15.
Going to have a timeout here.
Rightfully so. We'll take one as well. The Trojans down by as many as 7. They now lead it by 1 on Indiana SRN.
Today's games brought to you by Shin Technology Service Corporation. Technology is about humans and not about machines. Dave and his crew has provided 27 years of software needs. Give them a call. Shin Technology Service Corporation. You may reach him by phone at 317-545-3650 or shintechnology.com. For more information, contact Dave, 317-545-3650.
Welcome back to the campus of Bishop Chatard High School. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers. The Circle City Conference tilt between the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves and the host Bishop Chatard Trojans. They trailed 7-0, are on a 16-8 run over that stretch. They're 9 points away from taking game 1 in this best of 5. After the Chatard service, Braves will return it. Spike is blocked. Now Siegel's there. They'll go to Robinson. Here come the Trojans. Play in front of the net, just a little bit out of the reach of Coors. And it'll knot us up at 16.
I kind of like how Richmond laid out there to get that ball, to keep that ball in play.
Well, they know what's at stake. We saw that fight from them on Tuesday night. Can't afford to drop another one in conference play. Schumacher's service just gets over the net. Spike is blocked.
Great play.
Meek, that's a point. Got the kill down on the left side. 17-16, Brebeuf Chatard.
Chatard has adjusted a little bit too, Jimmy. That early timeout, they came out maybe a little timid. Now he was protecting that home court.
Overhand service by DeCastro. They'll go to Siegel. That spike is blocked. They'll go to Meek. Richmond's there. Now Seaman. Good play that time by the back line. They'll get it over to continue the rally. Play in front of the net. Career shot. Kept alive again. That spike is in. Thought it was going to be long initially, but it got just enough underneath it to keep it in check. 18-16, largest lead of the game for Brebeuf Chatard. Their run extends now, 18-8.
The football team is done with practice.
18-9.
Football team is done with practice. They are now in the stands. It's going to get a little rowdy in here.
Good crowd for Brebeuf Chatard. Overhand shot by Richmond. Play in front of the net. Nice adjustment. The Braves are ready for it. They'll go to Siegel. That's a tough play. It's going to go for ricocheted off of the hands of Countryman. Goes down for the point. Braves needed that.
Now you just hold service here.
Keep it in your side of the net. Abby Murray's service is a let serve. Just takes a kick off the net to stay in play. And then the block on the front line attack of Siegel and Frazier.
Good job by Siegel and Frazier, but give that whole entire block to Siegel.
They're knotted up at 18. Murray's the 5'11 junior continues her service.
Going to come on this side of us, Jimmy.
Where it was going, but right in the net. 19-18, that's the third, unofficially, the third service into the net from that far right corner of the gym by members of Brebeuf.
That's tough.
Robinson, overhand service. Siegel the spike. That one's a ricochet block, and they'll say a net violation, the third one of the game against Brebeuf Chatard. Tie us up at 19. Race to 6 now is Greer Frazier, the 6-foot junior, has the service. We'll see if she fares any better on that back service line near the doors. That one is in the net. Not so much.
Do you think it's depth perception? Maybe?
Could be.
Okay. That's tough. They haven't done that all year.
I mean, here's a theory that I don't think this is what it is, but if we're comparing gyms between Roncalli and Brebeuf Chatard, the stage is open for this game. It wasn't for that matchup against Roncalli. Stage doors were closed, so you do have a longer alley that you're serving towards. It could be, but you'd think the way that Coach Hawes has her group set up that wouldn't really be as big a factor as some of the venues they played at already this year.
Got a violation on Chatard. They foot was over the line, so now we're tied at 20. Now it's race to 5.
Siegel, overhand service. That one's clean over the net. One shot return. Trojans on the counter. Nice play by Richmond, but she might have had help on the back line in Weber. She didn't see her, though. 21-20, Brebeuf Chatard.
I think Gaddis could have filled that hole, maybe make that ball a lot closer than what she really thought it was.
Chatard now 4 points away. Sorensen, the 5'7 senior, has the service. Overhand serve is clear. Richmond receives. Running shot that time by Poitras, makes a play when they need it.
You know, she had a running start, and you and I both know if she gets a running start, that's always going to be tough to come back.
Yep. Most of the time, that's going to be a kill. It was there. We're tied at 21. Maya Gaddis, the freshman. She'll have service. Tries to jump serve that time, and it clears the net cleanly. Coors, Richmond's there. A bump. Robinson, that's a point. Ricocheted off the hands of Kaminsky. They went full speed with it, and now finally the lead back in Brebeuf's take. They're 3 points away. Chatard, meanwhile, looking for a stop. Gaddis. Action in front of the net.
Oh,
point
nice.
when they needed it. Nice shot that time by Pemberton. Tied at 22.
Step, hit, done.
No hesitation with it. She'll have the service now.
got to remind folks, you got to win by 2 in this game.
Overhand service. Siegel, she's been quiet so far. That almost rode the back line. It was tough. The timeout taken by Brebeuf. We'll take one as well. 23-22 the score. Brebeuf Chatard 2 points away from taking game 1.
Your home and office make up a big part of your world. Sometimes trying to manage it all on your own can make you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And when the weight of the world is on your shoulders, you need a strong back or two to come to your rescue and haul your stress away. You need the College Hunks. Whether it's time to clear some space for new memories, to reinvent the room around you, or to simply pack up and move into a fresh new beginning, you can count on the Hunks to bear your burden so you don't have to. Let us move you today.
23-22, Brebeuf Chatard 2 points away from taking game number 1 after trailing 7-0. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers here at Brebeuf Chatard High School. It'll be Brebeuf Chatard service out of the Brebeuf timeout, and that service is out long to tie us at 23. As Coach mentioned in our last break, it's a race to 25, but it's win by 2. So we're in that territory now. Richmond service. Nice play that time by Countryman. Game point for Brebeuf Chatard.
I think they just surprised Chatard with where they were going to go put the ball.
Nobody was there. Good heads-up play. Keefe service. Richmond digs in deep for it. One hit to get it over. It will go over. The rally will continue. Poor shot. Richmond once again in play for it. They'll go Seaman. That one will not stay down. Nice dig by Brebeuf Chatard. Robinson, spike, another great play by the back line. Action in front of the net. One hit to get it over. They do. Robinson again. That one's out. That's the game for Brebeuf Chatard. 25-23. Chatard takes it. We'll be back after this on Indiana SRN.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Welcome back to Brebeuf Chatard High School. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers. 25-23, the Brebeuf Chatard Trojans take game number 1 in this best-of-5 set after trailing 8-0, make that 7-0 at one point in time. Coach, Brebeuf got the start they wanted, but they got a rally they couldn't find at Roncalli on Tuesday night.
Got a timeout called by Chatard. They've regrouped and played very, very well. And, very impressive for Chatard, and that's what you want to do. You want to get that one-game lead.
Coach, I know we said we were going to talk a little bit about the city tournament, but I need to point it out because I can't believe it's actually happening, and I'm all for it. I love it. Brebeuf is not here anymore. They have left. They have taken the same route they did at Roncalli in the same layout of a gymnasium because they're all built the same, probably in the same cafeteria layout downstairs, having a group meeting immediately after game 1.
You know, you like that, don't you?
No, I'm all about it.
You can't do that from basketball.
Nope.
You know, you can't call a timeout in the quarter and go down to
Nope.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's talk about the city tournament. The city draw is Sunday. It is at 1 o'clock. It is at Heritage Christian. We are going to do a live radio broadcast about 1:30. So once the draw is done, we get everything lined up and how the brackets are. We will go on the air live on Indiana SRN. And we will also have it for on demand later on that night. And we're going to be talking to some of the volleyball coaches and look at the draw and pick the games, so we'll be broadcasting more. Something new that we're going to do this year on Indiana SRN. Looking forward to that. I know, Jimmy, you're off Sunday, but I get to do that. You get to see the Chiefs play. I get to do that. And I kind of like that assignment. So tune in on Sunday on demand. It will say City Tournament Draw, and you can listen to that show.
Yeah, it's going to be a very informative setup for anybody that's interested in the city side of tournament play. And really, I mean, between the Marion County tournament and the city tournament, you're talking about 2 setups across central Indiana that are pound for pound some of the best teasers to the actual IHSAA postseason tournament that takes place. A great opportunity for everybody to get a feel for what embodies you around your campus and gets set up for the statewide contest just a few weeks later.
You look at the city tournament, there's 6 teams that could win that city tournament. You look at the county, oh my goodness, there's at least 6 teams that can win the county tournament. Lawrence North beating Carmel the other night, really surprised, especially at Carmel. I tell you what, Lawrence North is going to be tough out for the county. Brebeuf is in that county tournament along with a very strong Beech Grove team. So it should be an interesting county city tournament coming up in a couple weeks. And it's the last week of the season. Yeah. So the last week of the season you play for the county or city championship, and then you play in the sectionals.
A lot of teaching moments at the back end of that calendar for all of those schools. Meanwhile, here it's still a race for the Circle City Conference title chase, as the first service will belong to Brebeuf Chatard. They lead 1-0, and they'll lead 1-0 on that shot that went wide by the Braves.
Now, if you're Brebeuf, you just need to regroup. You need to get a victory.
Well, they left the gymnasium and had their standard conference, as they've done at both of these venues now between Roncalli and Brebeuf, leaving the gym, going down to the cafeteria area, kind of regrouping, having a conversation about where they're at and what they need to do to move forward. A game sooner than where we saw it on Tuesday night. So far, though, Chatard at another pace prior to that shot by Davia Poitras.
Chatard is not playing like they're 8-9, are they?
No.
Strength of schedule. You look at the strength of schedule of Chatard. They have a very tough schedule. They played in the Yorktown Invitational just a couple weeks ago.
Service by Richmond. Play in front of the net is blocked, but it goes out of bounds. Chatard leads 3-1.
I tell you what, the crowds are getting better and bigger and bigger every single time we go.
Get to that point of the season, all the interest starts to peak up. That shot's into the net, so maybe it's not just a Brebeuf thing, as that's a home floor shot into the net by DeCastro. 3-2. Bella Schumacher, the 5'8 junior. Service directly in front of us. Play in front of that. That spike is pure. Give that to Ruby Countryman.
You know, you look at this gymnasium, you look straight at where I'm looking at. There's a 2004 3A state championship banner hanging from the rafters for volleyball. That was a great team back in the day. Oh, wow.
Play in front of the net. That point will go to Brebeuf Chatard.
They have played exceptionally well since that first timeout, Jimmy.
Sometimes it's all it takes. You know from your years coaching that an early timeout can be a difference maker sometimes. Brebeuf Chatard riding that momentum swing so far. They lead at 6-2.
Now what you got to do if you're Brebeuf is just relax and say, okay, let's just play volleyball. Let's not worry about any rotation. Let's just get things done. Oh.
Another point for Brebeuf Chatard. They're rolling. A timeout taken by Brebeuf. Will take one as well. They're on the wrong end of this rally by the Trojans. Stay with us on Indiana SRN.
Bertner Electric Incorporated has been proudly serving our residential and commercial customers with quality electrical repair for over 33 years. We are fully licensed and insured in electrical wiring and electrician service packages. You'll receive a competitive assessment, whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, first-time or long-time customer. We offer free estimates for any new project. Call our licensed and experienced electricians today.
Welcome back to Brebeuf Chatard High School. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach Keith Myers. Brebeuf Chatard leads 7-2 here in game 2. They lead 1-0. Should be noted that Brebeuf came out leading 7-0 to open game number 1. Since that time, if you combine the overall aggregate of the scores, Brebeuf Chatard is outscoring them 32-18 over the course of those 2 games. Siegel, though, has some other words for that number, as her spike, her first one of the night, is down. 7-3, Chatard.
Now you got to just fight back.
The 5'11 freshman, Delaney Seaman, her service. Low dig opportunity. One more bump by the Trojans. Now they'll work in front of the net. They'll go to Siegel. Siegel spike, block. Richmond, though, quick reflexes to it. One more time. She'll try again. That one she airmailed.
Wow.
Tried to go around the block. That time just put a little too much on it.
Got to put that hand on top of the ball and smack it straight down.
8-3 Brebeuf Chatard. Sydney Sorensen, the 5'7 senior. Overhand serve, that's long, right in front of us.
Good catch, Jimmy. Jimmy Cook on the catch, everybody, on the bounce.
Do what I can. Do what I can every now and again. 8-4 Trojans.
I heard you were a pretty good athlete.
I don't know who you heard that from. Riley's my hype man. He's doing a good job so far. Overhand shot that time by the Trojans. 9-4. Brebeuf Chatard still staying consistent. Coach, we talked about the lead of about 2-4 is where a team likes to be. With this measurable of 5 for Chatard, Brebeuf's in a lot of thick water to try to get back into this.
Yeah, you're right. And when you have shots like that, that's tough to even rebound on.
Poitras went for the spike, but she went wide of the mark. 10-4 Trojans. Overhand serve. Hit to the back line. Siegel airmailed it again. Far right side that time she went. Could not get the friendly drop of the line.
That line is a foot over a little bit more. That's in. But it's not. So it's 11-4, Jimmy. I'm not seeing. Well, I just jinxed them. But
the door opened a little bit there. Still manageable for a team like Brebeuf, but you need a solid run. You haven't had a strong run since the opening stages of this match.
I think you have to go right to the front line. You have to attack the front net.
Maddie Siegel, overhand service. That's clear over the net. Play in front of the net. Chatard looks to counter. That spike is blocked. Winch. Soft touch shot. Siegel's there. They'll go opposite side. Robinson. Her spike is blocked. Diving stop by Chatard. Siegel receives that one. One bump over the net. Counter strike. Out.
Good call.
Trying to get that down was Pemberton, but it went wide right. 11-6.
You know, but Brebeuf, it seems like they're overpassing just a tad. They need to calm down a little bit.
Siegel's service, it took out one of the senior night banners.
That's nice.
Well, I say this in jest, but some of the Brebeuf Chatard players were saying some of their favorite memories on senior night were beating Brebeuf, so, you know, maybe there was aim the wrong way there. 12-6, Chatard leads by 6. Robinson,
nice.
Ricocheted on her spike, it's down.
There's that lack of communication a little bit. You got to realize where that is, and you got to call for help. Nice location of where to put that ball.
Service belongs to Nia Gaddis. Brebeuf back within 5. Soft touch shot by the Trojans.
Nice shot by Gaddis just to fill that spot.
That one might be long, but it's played anyway by Sorensen. Spike ricochets, and Siegel just a step late. 13-7.
Started a little bit of pep in their step here.
It's still a carryover, I think, Coach, from that timeout, like you said, getting that early, being down 7-0. They've not looked back so far. Richmond, one bump. Adjustment shot, and it's a net violation.
Nope, 10-foot attack.
Against the Braves?
Yes.
14-7. That is an ace. Siegel couldn't get underneath it for the dig. And another timeout by the Braves. We'll keep it here. 15-7 the score. An 8-point advantage for Bishop Chatard. We mentioned they opened up game number 1 down 7-0. They come all the way back, outscore them 25-16 to take game 1. And they are on the right side of another victory in the Circle City Conference to get above 500. Let's look at some other games going on across our Indiana SRN family of networks.
Well, Friday night is high school football night, and do we have some doozies for you this week? Decatur Central Mooresville, that's a webcast game. Jimmy Cook and C.J. Benberry on that call. Frontier takes on Traders Point. That's myself and John Mathis. And then on our radio broadcast, Southport is here at Chatard. Delta goes to Mount Vernon. Tinley plays at Covenant Christian. Shortridge is at Heritage Christian. Brown County is at Beech Grove. And Guerin Catholic is at Columbus North. Next Tuesday, we have volleyball for you. It's a radio broadcast only, Heritage Christian and Lutheran, and a webcast game, Heritage Christian Chatard, right here on Indiana SRN.
It's a fully packed schedule. We hope you'll join us along for that ride over these next couple of days. Out of the timeout by the Braves, be service for Bishop Chatard. That's Melanie Jansen on the service. Play in front of the net is long. Make it 15-8. Overhand service. Might have been a carry.
Yeah, good call.
Yep.
Man, that's hard. I mean, they wasn't going to call that one. That would be a tough shot, but good call by the official. Crossed your body, brought it up in the air.
15-9. That one takes a ricochet off the ceiling. Spike is saved by Siegel. They'll go. What a tough setup for Robinson, but it's dug in by the Trojans. Murray, that's out.
You know who made that play was Siegel. Kept that ball alive, but Robinson did a nice job as well.
Yep, and Gaddis was there to take the bump to set up the attempted spike by Robinson. That whole trio fully involved. Richmond service, almost an ace. It's returned. Siegel calls for it. Nice adjustment shot that time by Frazier.
Frazier read that all the way through. Chatard was way over on the other side. You go get the ball like that, you open yourself up, Jimmy. Now it's 15-11. Now you're starting to believe in yourself.
First run that we've really seen since the opening stages of that first game. And a misadjustment by the Trojans. Just mistimed the jump, 15-12. Richmond prepares her overhand service. It's an ace.
Wow. Yeah, quick timeout. Got to call that timeout. Got to stop the bleeding. 15-13.
We'll take one as well. The Braves staying alive on Indiana SRN.
Burtner Electric Incorporated has been proudly serving our residential and commercial customers with quality electrical repair for over 33 years. We are fully licensed and insured in electrical wiring and electrician service packages. You'll receive a competitive assessment, whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, first-time or long-time customer. We offer free estimates for any new project. Call our licensed and experienced electricians today.
Back at Chatard High School, we want to thank Bill Somm, Joe Hansen, Mike Ford, Mike Harmon for allowing us to do what we're doing tonight. And on the Brebeuf side, we want to thank the administration staff of Brebeuf High School as well.
A play in front of the net, a spike that powered through the front line of the defense. Chatard attacking Brebeuf. It goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Braves, 16-13 Trojans. Isabella DeCastro has the service. Richmond's there. Siegel, soft touch shot. Counter attack by Chatard. They'll answer with one of their own. Robinson. Counter, that one's into the stands, 17-13. Richmond collided with some students trying to make a play on the ball.
I tell you what, she could probably play football. That was a nice little block.
Ready to put her body on the line to keep that ball in play. Chatard gets the point, though. It's 17-13. Another cross body shot.
Nice.
That one stayed in.
Frazier.
Greer again. Her second one of those in this second game. 17-14. Door open for Brebeuf.
Nice play for the junior.
Bella Schumacher will have service.
Got to go to the back row. Bring it all the way back.
She does that. The play in front of the net. Blocked. Richmond's there on the quick reflex. Siegel, spike. Soft touch shot, almost a collision. Overhand by Schumacher. The rally continues. That spike is down. Rode it on the outside, kept it in the lines. Point for Sarah Meek and the Trojans, 18-14.
So now you're in the driver's seat if you're Chatard right here.
Wench's serve just barely got over, and that's in the net. An ace. Siegel tried to redirect it, but could not do so, and 6 points away from a commanding 2-0 lead is Bishop Chatard. Wench's service. Frazier again. That one's a point. Once again, Frazier. When they need it, she's stepped up so far in game 2.
You got to love Abby Richmond. She is just pumping her team up.
Delaney's service. Set up a cross-court shot. Richmond's there. Quick reflexes. Siegel. One shot to get it over. The Trojans do it. Redirection. Frazier again. 19-16.
They really have disguised her because they go to the strong side first. If that doesn't work, they'll come right back. They have not done that this year. Very good play here. Good coaching strategy. 19-16.
Still very much within striking distance. Delaney's service goes all the way to the back line. That's a tough play.
Oh, that hit the antenna.
Soft touch shot. Diving to make that play with Schumacher. They'll set up Siegel. The spike. It takes a ricochet. Wench. A bump. Play in front of the net, and it's won that time by Gaddis.
I tell you what, that's a great play. It would have been a shame if Brebeuf would have lost that one because that went around the antenna, and the Lund judge missed that one. But here we go, 19-17.
Chatard, that took a bad ricochet. Bad ricochet for Brebeuf. Great one for Bishop Chatard. They're 5 points away, 20-17.
Where'd you go?
And that's an ace. Misplayed by Weber.
Got to get a stronger foundation there.
And if you are on the Brave side of this, can't let this get much further than where it's at. You need to stop. Overhand service by Sorensen in the net, so a lucky break for Brebeuf. 21-18. They're within 3. Frazier, who's made so many plays in front of the net, will have the service. Greer, overhand serve. Counterattack by Chatard. They'll try the running shot, and that one's a point. 22-18. Chatard 3 points away from taking a commanding 2-0 lead in this best of 5.
Chatard playing very aggressive tonight.
And a game they have to have in this Circle City Conference race. Siegel, that ricocheted. Overhand shot. That's misplayed. Miscommunication slightly by Siegel and Richmond. Trojans on the doorstep. They're 2 points away from taking set 2.
Again, next week, Chatard at Cecina and at Heritage Christian next week.
Countryman, overhand service. Coach mentioned those 2 games. This is the last home game for Chatard this year. What a dig. It's returned. The Braves have an answer. Nice play.
Oh, nice play laid out.
And that's a point. Wench kept that alive. Game point for Bishop Chatard. They'll have the service.
Crowd is on their feet.
Service belongs to Countryman. Siegel to keep it alive. That is in. It rode the back line. A deep sigh of relief by the Braves bench.
Great shot by our cameraman, Ben Wood. Nice job, Ben. Your fan club loves you.
Maddie Siegel has the service. This is game point 2. Soft touch shot. Read well by the Braves. Robinson, the spike is in. Braves stay alive, 24-20.
You got a timeout if you're Chatard, so be very interesting when she's going to take that.
Siegel, overhand service. The Braves to try to take the game. Richmond's there. They'll go to Robinson. It's out, and that'll be game 2 to Brebeuf Chatard. 25-20, the final in game number 2. Brebeuf Chatard looks to complete a sweep. The Braves try to extend it when we come back on Indiana SRN.
Bertner Electric Incorporated has been proudly serving our residential and commercial customers with quality electrical repair for over 33 years. We are fully licensed and insured in electrical wiring and electrician service packages. You'll receive a competitive assessment, whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, first-time or long-time customer. We offer free estimates for any new project. Call our licensed and experienced electricians today.
Welcome back to Brebeuf Chatard High School. Jimmy Cook alongside the coach, Keith Myers. The Brebeuf Chatard Trojans lead this best-of-5 set 2-0. They started out on the wrong end of a 7-0 by the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves in game number 1. They have since, after a timeout was called by Heather Lyon, they have since regrouped, been on a completely different momentum level than Brebeuf, and are on a very, very surprising journey for a sweep here of the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves.
Yeah, you know, you look at the conference standings as we looked at it earlier today. You know, Brebeuf, if they win this game, they would be 4-1 in the conference. Chatard would drop to 1-2. You look at this loss, they'll be 3-2. Chatard will be 2-1. Roncalli's still 3-0. Heritage Christian is 2-1. So it's going to come down to the last couple of weeks, determine who's going to win this conference championship. And I tell you, who can make the spoil run is Covenant Christian. As they're 0-2 in the conference, they have both Chatard left and Heritage Christian left. So it could be a very interesting end of the year for the conference.
No doubt about that, especially when you look at the setup of where the top teams are. I mean, you mentioned Covenant Christian, and there's going to be some tough tests for them to steal this from everybody. Not saying it's impossible, but there's a conversation to be had for them. But on the upper half of things, if Roncalli loses to Heritage Christian, then you're looking at all these different scenarios of who's where, because you mentioned Heritage 2-2 right now, Brebeuf in danger of falling to 3-2. Chatard gets back into the mix. There's plenty of scenarios at stake. The team in the driver's seat right now is Roncalli.
Yeah, Roncalli has to protect home court first of all, and then have to play very, very well in the conference play. But you're exactly right. And, you know, Roncalli won this conference last year, beating Heritage Christian. So it's just fun. And, you know, we have really an important contest. If Chatard wins this game, the game that we have on the 26th, Jimmy, is very, very important.
No out-of-arena meetings for Brebeuf this time. They kept it all in the gym. What do they need to do, Coach?
Win
to have any hope of getting to get that win, though. From your years of experience and what you've seen them doing out there tonight, what's missing that we saw on Tuesday?
I think they're pressing a little bit and just relax and play. I think they're pressing just a tad they're still very, very good, folks.
Oh, absolutely.
They're just not a good night tonight, but just regroup and play and try to chip at this. Win this one, win game number 4, and then try to steal game number 5.
I couldn't agree with you more. We talked about it all year. This conference is at high-level talent from top to bottom. It's a stereotype that's said all the time in conference play, in any conference, in any sport, that it's always a tougher battle when you are playing a conference opponent and when you're playing it on the road. Brebeuf is a very, very talented team. Chatard just a step better right now. Opening service. The Braves looking to get off to a hot start, and they do. It was a nice play in front of the net on that drop shot by Robinson. Their first lead since the early goings of Game 1.
Good point.
Richmond. Overhand service. Counterattack by Chatard, airmailed. Well, this is kind of how Bish Chatard opened Game 1 and how Brebeuf was able to get out to an early momentum shift in Game 1. Is the tide turning for Brebeuf. Richmond overhand service. That took a bounce off the ceiling, and that's airmailed as well. 3-0 Braves.
You tend at times when you're up 2-0 to relax a little bit. It's just human nature, and that's exactly what Chatard looks like they've done so far.
Cross body shot. That one
go.
Back into momentum for Ruby Countryman.
Can this crowd lift them up to win 3 straight? It's tough to do that, though, Jimmy. As you know, it's tough to win 3 straight games.
It's even a harder ask on the road. There's a good Brebeuf crowd here, but it's about 70-30 in favor of Chatard. Spike is blocked. They'll go again to Robinson. That spike is blocked. Counterattack. Coors for the point. 3-2.
Tough play by the freshman Gaddis. Need to take a step back and try to bump that ball, then try to strengthen that with one hit, one arm.
Overhand shot by Jansen. Oh, Greer almost misplayed that. Ran in a room. Soft touch shot. Robinson in front of the net. Active play all around by both teams. Robinson goes cross court with it. Meek. Good play by Richmond to keep it alive, and a nice slam down by Countryman. Second time she's had that set up right in the middle of the court. We're tied at 3.
That time the communication there for Brebeuf is not as well as they want it to be.
Jansen will have the service. Melanie, the sophomore, overhand service. Soft touch shot by Robinson, and it
they're
is
going to
out.
call net.
Net, excuse me. Net violation. Looked like that might be trickling out. It was tough to tell from our vantage point, but it didn't matter anyway. Violation occurred first.
The line judge called it in, though, Jimmy. And now the captain goes to the official and asks what he saw. He can overturn this if he liked. And I don't think he's going to.
So a microcosm of what happened in Game 1. It was 7-0 Brebeuf. Chatard answers. It was 3-0 here in Game 3 for Brebeuf. Right now it's 4 straight points for Brebeuf. And now the official's going to have a conference here to discuss the call on the floor.
This is good officiating. It's both. If we take a look at the officials, the lower official is B.J. Brown. Upper official is Scott Jones. And now, I like how Chatard's captain goes over and says, "What are you guys talking about?"
Yeah, the upper official wasn't having any of it. They still are having a conversation about this, but I believe they're going to let it stand where it's at.
He is not going to overrule it.
It'll be 4-3. Service continues for Jansen. Chatard leads 2-0 in a game that they have to have in the Circle City Conference, but Brebeuf leads just as much as that one's in on the back left corner. Nice play that time by Countryman.
How well played was that?
That's 4-4. Service by Schumacher. That spike is down. Countryman again.
She's played really, really well. Seniors leaving maybe a little bit of an impression here.
No, it's their last time. Duking it out on their home floor. That's an ace. Another senior, Isabella DeCastro. 6'4", Brebeuf Chatard.
Now, you do not want to get behind too far here.
I'm sure the timeout mentality is in the back of Coach Hawes' mind as that serve was into the net. The Braves can breathe a sigh of relief very briefly. Service belongs to Frazier. Chatard leads 6-5. 2-0. They lead the match. Frazier's service received by Wench. Play in front of the net. That spike is going to be for a point as it was bumped by Gaddis, but diving to the deck was also Frazier. No one was there to make a second effort. 7-5, Brebeuf Chatard.
Schumacher got caught up in her shoestrings there and tripped over her foot because she was there to make the play, just tripped. And now we have another controversy here.
Brebeuf asking for
Well, I think what happened here, Jimmy,
some clarification.
Yeah, the player left the floor, whistle blew, and they had 5 guys on the floor. So you have to put somebody back in. Can you not substitute at that point? And what happened is they wouldn't let that happen. So you go back to the same lineup that you had, and now the assistant coach at Brebeuf is asking about the rotation.
7-5 the score stands.
Because it looks like Brebeuf might be a little bit out of rotation. And you have if you ask for a lineup, it is supposed to be granted. And so now the official scorekeeper has to go make sure she's correct. Volleyball's complicated.
Many layers.
I had great assistants. My wife helped me assistant coach. And she was a great assistant. Laura Waldron, who later coached at Creston, did a nice job. If you get good assistants, you look good as a head coach. I'm just worried about practice and games.
Yeah, that's fair. that's just focus on those, and then in game they'll have your back.
Because the best administration in our house is Mrs. Myers, guarantee you.
Yeah.
By the way, health update.
Gonna ask that.
Walked a mile today. She did really well.
Good, awesome.
Good job, Debbie.
Look forward to hopefully having Debbie back at some point in time.
City tournament is our draw. Yeah,
right.
Hopefully she's there for the city tournament. We miss our stat keeper, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Riley does a nice job, but you can't read his chicken scratch.
Yeah, it's tough. The big shoes to fill, though.
Yeah, yep. Speaking, if you want to fill some big shoes and help us underwrite some games, you can contact us at coach@indianasrn.org. Love to put kids on the TV and radio. If you'd like to help us, let us know. Just send us an email. We'll be more than happy to help you with that information.
Everything's been clarified now between the scorers table, the coaches, the refs, the parents, anybody else involved with that. It's 7-5 Brebeuf Chatard as service continues for Abby Wench. A nice spike that time by Siegel. It was rejected initially, but it powered through the block. 7-6. Braves back within 1. And now a sub for the Braves. Richmond finally gets a rest.
Yeah, I think Richmond really wanted to be out that play, but they wouldn't let her get out off the floor.
Service belongs to Greer Frazier, the 6-foot junior. And that's going to be right in. I missed that one. It's my fault.
It's 8-6. Chatard. Game number 3.
2 for 3, Coach.
Yeah, I'm keeping stats.
It's all right.
All right.
Overhand service for Sorensen. Back line attack by the Braves in the net. Coach, I don't want to fully say that Brebeuf's body language indicates a half step out. There's been some momentum still there by the likes of Siegel there with her spikes. Action in front of the net as well by Poitras, but every time they counter, Chatard has an answer. That's the action right there for another point.
And I think a lot of that is the advantage of being home. You had 2 away games this week. It's tough going on the road, being a student athlete, and so maybe a step off a little bit tonight. Oh, net.
That's a let serve, and it gets over everything breaking Chatard's way.
That's when everything goes right. I mean, when the ball hits net and you're there and you still can't make the play, that's tough.
We'll stay here, 11-6 the score. Brebeuf Chatard leads by 5. They lead the match 2-0. And what would be a big upset in the conference standings for the Circle City Conference, and would make it a very interesting race for the mid-tier teams, and leaves it a 2-horse race up top between Heritage Christian and Roncalli for the time being.
Don't forget high school football on Indiana SRN tomorrow. Decatur Central Mooresville, Frontier Traders Point, Southport Chatard, Delta Mount Vernon, Tinley Covenant Christian, Shortridge Heritage Christian, and Beech Grove Brown County. Check out our website, indianasrn.org, for all the action.
Overhand service has been the tradition for Sydney Sorensen so far. Likely to see that again here out of the timeout by the Braves. 11-6 Chatard. They lead 2-0, and that service just rode the back line. It's a tough call. Wow. Far side line judge says it's in. That's very tough. It's been one of those nights, though, fortuitously for Brebeuf Chatard, and unfortunate swings on Brebeuf's end. Went right back to her. That's a nice spike that time. Boisterous.
That's frustration.
Yep. Type of resiliency that Coach Hawes is probably looking for. Another big player on the momentum and on the hype is Maddie Siegel. Her service. Received by the Trojans. Cross-body shot blocked. A point for the Braves. 12-8. All they need is a little bit of room.
They're not going to give up. They're too strong of a team to give up.
Siegel, overhand serve.
Nice.
Play in front of the net, and a violation against Chatard. Point for the Braves.
Oh, they're going to replay it. He called a 10-foot violation and then realized that young lady was in the back row. She did not come up to the net. That's a good call. We replay the point.
So Siegel will serve again. It'll sit 12-8. Siegel with the bump. Chatard, another cross-body shot. It's going to be down. 13-8, rough swing for the Braves.
Yeah, because that could have been a 12-9. Now it's 13-8, and now you have the serve. Now you have the momentum once again.
Service belongs to Reese Kaminsky, the 5'6" senior. Richmond. Play in front of the net. Johnson, soft touch shot. That one is in the net. Could not get the full swing on that was Pemberton. Service back to the Braves. 13-9.
Both teams, both coaches trying to push the ball a little bit farther to the antenna to shorten the playing field a little bit, Jimmy. A good strategy here.
Been fun to see it unfold. The counterattacks on both sides as that shot is going to be out by Pemberton. 13-10. Braves back within 3. They trail 2 games to none. Overhand service by Gaddis. That shot is kept in play by Richmond. Just barely avoided the ceiling. Play in front of the net is a point for the Trojans.
Tough play. Went off 3 hands. Real close to the net there. Real tough play.
Service will shift back to Chatard. It'll be Erica Pemberton, the 6' senior. Richmond calls for it. Seaman shot. It's a point. 15-10.
Race to 10.
Correction, that was sailed by Seaman. It'll be 15-10, but advantage to Chatard and point Chatard as well. have that service, counterattack. Play in front of the net. That's a spike that's down.
That's a hard hit.
Everything clicking for Brebeuf Chatard here on senior night.
You know, we were at Brebeuf when they played Heritage Christian. This is exactly how Brebeuf played against Heritage Christian. Lights out.
Getting up for your opponent, playing up for the Circle City Conference match. They're 9 points away. Cross shot, a tough dig, but unable to get underneath it enough with Sorensen. Braves back within 5. Abby Richmond, the 5'6" senior. And that's an ace.
That's just misplayed at the net. You have to see where that ball is.
16-12, and
here we come.
Brebeuf still has words to say. Chatard says never mind. Cross shot down the line, 17-12.
No, we're here. I like that with confidence and the fist pump afterwards.
Yep.
You got to kind of like that.
Everything rolling the right way on senior night. Why not be all in? That's a let serve. Almost an ace. Cross shot that time by Delaney Seaman is down. (17-13). Play in front of the net. Now it's 17-14 in just a 3-point game. Chatard's still not going to use a timeout here, but
this is a good call by Coach. Let him play through this a little bit, see what happens.
Schumacher's service is long.
That helps you.
Riley, do you want to get that one? Don't wish to chase that one down.
We are back in the stage, and so when the balls come this way, we're either dodging the balls or we have to go retrieve the balls, and producer Riley's done a nice job doing a good job tonight. Your nacho's pretty good tonight? Okay, good.
Overhand service by Chatard. They're within 4. Thank you, Riley. That shot is taken cleanly by Wench. Rally continues, though. Cross shot is out. 19-14. Chatard 6 points away.
They know it. Look at the bench. Look at Chatard's bench. Yep. They're excited.
Crowd is hyped as well on this senior night. Let's serve. Spike blocked.
Good save.
And they'll keep it alive in play. Cross shot. That one bounced off the net. And it'll be a point for Chatard on the 2 hits.
2 hits, but I tell you what, Richmond saved that as that ball was going to go out. She kept that ball in play. Great play for Brebeuf. Just fell short as they're down now 20-14. Talked about high school football, Jimmy. Basketball is coming. Don't forget Indiana SRN. It has all your basketball. You think we do a lot of football and volleyball. 192 games on the basketball schedule.
I'm excited.
I'm excited, too.
I'm hyped.
There's one week I think that we're doing a game every night, 2 or 3 games a night. So if you would like to be part of that schedule, or if you're a team that's watching outside the city of Indianapolis, we got room for you. Send us an email, coach@indianasrn.org, and we'll see what we can do about get you on our schedule. Hello to Frontier. They are watching this game as they play Traders Point tomorrow, thanks to Frontier, a new school for Indiana SRN for the year 2020.
Always happy to have more schools on board. Always happy to expand the coverage of the Indiana SRN umbrella. 20-14 here. Service for Isabella DeCastro, the 5'7" senior. Chatard leads at 2-0. That shot is blocked. Point for the Braves.
That was very well played by Brebeuf. They went to Chatard's strength, and they couldn't get the ball over in bounds.
Delaney Seaman, the 5'11" freshman, has the service. Ooh. That's a shot in the net that time. Good idea for Sophie Weber, but
just couldn't get it done. Now you're 4 points. Now you cannot make any mistakes.
Service for Wench. Weber's shot, partially blocked. Delaney. Now the Trojans. Meek. That's a point. 22-15. Chatard 3 points away from a sweep I don't know anybody saw coming. Service from Wench. Counterattack by Weber. And a point for Chatard.
How about this?
Wench will continue the service. Abby's serves down the line. Soft play. Cross shot partially blocked. Play in front of the net. Getting tight. Gonna play at the elbow there. That's a point for Brebeuf Chatard. Match point on senior night.
This will mess up the conference. Chatard is 1 point away from being right in the thick of things.
And turning the Circle City Conference upside down. Braves, do they have anything left in the tank? Weber's shot is down. They do. They'll hold on again. This is how they were in game number 2, where the window was open a little bit. Make that game number 1, rather. So they'll control their own destiny from here on out. Overhand shot. That's blocked. The Braves stay alive.
There's some life there. Look at the bench. Brebeuf is up. Ready.
Hype from both benches. They know how much this game means on both sides. Trying to return the serve. Play in front of the net.
Oh.
Might have been going out. And Braves stay alive
again.
How
about this?
24-18.
Hold on, Cupcake. Wow.
Service continues for Frazier. Overhand serve. Counter by Chatard. Diving play to keep it alive. For the match. Blocked. Weber. The loft shot. And it continues on this rally. Weber again. That one went for everything, and it's dug in by Wench. That spike is for the game. The set and the match. 25-18. Chatard completes the clean sweep and turns the Circle City Conference standings upside down.
Let's just go look at the standings very quickly, Jimmy. Roncalli 3-0, Brebeuf 3-2. They are now done with their conference schedule. Heritage Christian 2-1, Chatard 2-1, Covenant Christian 0-2, Guerin Catholic 0-5. So Guerin Catholic and Brebeuf is done. Spoiler, Covenant Christian gets spoiled. Heritage Christian is in a position they need to win now, because now you got to win. You cannot lose the game, because Roncalli is really in the thick of things here.
Yeah, the Rebels we mentioned at the top of the broadcast in the driver's seat the rest of the way. They're at the top of the conference standings at 3-0. The main team that can say something about it right now in terms of the overall structure is Heritage Christian. But if the Rebels lose, and depending on the way Heritage Christian goes, you mentioned it, Coach, there's a broadcast upcoming on our schedule that could have serious conference title implications on the line in that evening session.
September 26th is the day you want to circle. Actually, there's 2 days you want to circle. September 25th, the Brebeuf and Guerin Catholic game, and then on the 26th conference game, Heritage Christian versus Chatard.
It's going to be a wild race to the finish line. Right now, Roncalli might be in the driver's seat, but it's celebrations for Brebeuf Chatard as they are back in the thick of things as well, upsetting Brebeuf Jesuit Braves 3-0. For Ben and Riley and my partner in crime this evening, the coach, Keith Myers. This is Jimmy Cook saying until we talk to you next time, so long, everybody.